Hi, welcome back everyone. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna jump into it straight and just continue where I left off. Okay. So I had my schedule up saying that I go in at 12 and then at 8 p.m. to feed her, and please do not feed her before I'm there. Like, I lived so close to it that I got there usually like 5 minutes before. Like, it took me 5 minutes to get there. And we were having issues with some nurses, like on the 18th when I went in to breastfeed her on the, at 12, she just told me that, oh, I already fed her. And this was like a few minutes before 12, like she wasn't even supposed to get any food until noon, you know. I was extremely upset at that point. And also they told her, and those were our cuddling times too, like, you know, I breastfed her and we cuddled. And then at 8 o'clock I breastfed her, and then she cuddled with Dad. And this nurse told me not just that she already fed her, but not to cuddle with her, not to take her out, not to wake her up. And just go home or sit there and watch her. So I was so angry at that point I left. She also said to come back for the next feed at 3 if I want to. So I went back at 3 o'clock to breastfeed her. But she was too tired and she actually fell asleep. And then we were breastfeeding her at 9 p.m. So now that all the schedules changed, so it's at 9 p.m. and she was very tired at that point as well, and she only breastfed 7 meals and then they gave her the rest. So on the 19th, August 19th, she turns 2 months, and at that point she spent 2 months in the hospital. So at that point when I went in, her tummy was again big and bloated. She didn't want to breastfeed, and she spit up the food that she got 3 hours ago. The nurse came in. This was the same nurse that I had an issue with the day before. The one that told me that she already fed her and come back at 3 o'clock the day before. So it was the same nurse who fed her through the bottle 3 hours before I went in, and supposedly she took her whole feed through the bottle with lots of burping in between. But when I went in at 12 o'clock to breastfeed her, she didn't want to eat A, her tummy was huge, B, and her previous feeding was still, like, she was spitting up her previous feed. So I had to argue with this nurse for a long time to not to feed her again and give her her feed through her feeding tube, and to actually call the doctor to take a look at her. So at that point the nurse told me that this would have been the fate when they were just about to put back her additives. As well, I was so angry, you can't imagine. I'm like, you can't even digest the previous food that she was getting, the meal without any additives, and you want to give her additives. So, and I wanted her to call the doctor to come down and take a look at her. So she called the doctor, but the doctor just said not to give her the additives, not to give her this feed, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not leaving until someone takes a look at this baby. So she called her head nurse. The head nurse came down and she was like, oh my god, yeah, that's crazy. Like, her tummy was huge and hard. She looked very tired. Like, she looked like she just again, like she looked the same that she did before. And she actually went to the doctor and called her down. When the doctor finally came down, she said, oh yes, as soon as she saw her tummy, she's like, oh no, stop every feeding. She just finished her antibiotics the day before and her IV, so she actually said to put her back on the antibiotics and the IV right away, do an x-ray, do this usual blood test and urine test, blah blah blah, and obviously not to feed her. This is where we were. And I told her that, you know what, I mean, she was not eating for 4 days, and then you guys started to feed her, and within 2 days she was up at 30 meals. Within another 2 days she was getting 38 meals, and it just looked like when she was getting the 38 meals, started to get more than 30, then she was started to look uncomfortable after every feed, and it just kind of looked like she was getting way too much at once, and that she just couldn't digest it. While I was waiting for the doctor, I saw her heart rate kept dropping, like dropped, went back to normal, dropped, went back to normal, dropped, went back to normal, which was a really hard point, because you know, you're scared that they're gonna put her back on the breathing machine, or you know, something, but thank God nothing happened besides that they put her back on the IV and started to start her again. Interestingly enough, again, everyone agreed, and later again the doctor, just a couple of days later, this doctor that I talked to agreed that it was too much. So she got, when she was off of her feet for 4 days and ate nothing, and then in 2 days she went back to her, she went back to 30, and then in 4 days she was up to 38 meals every 3 hours. It was too much, too fast, too much for her, and that's why she's having again the digestive issues. She was 100% sure that she has no infections, but they were treating her like she did. So she was back on the IV, back on the antibiotics. Nothing else, thank God. We didn't need the breathing tube or anything else, but still. At that point, we didn't know. She couldn't tell me when they start feeding her again, or like when I can breastfeed her again. I was very much crushed at that point, because this was the point when they fucked up my baby the second time. Within 2 weeks. And like, I was crushed. Like, we were just about to take her home the first time, and they made a mistake and like caused us a week delay and a lot of pain and suffering on both mine and the baby's side. And now they done it again. We were just about to take her home when they caused another delay and another suffering, like quite long suffering for me and my baby. I think I'm gonna finish this video here, and then in the last video I'm gonna continue from this point and go all the way until we take her home, because it's thank God not far from this point. But this is not, obviously this is just the beginning of the second starving period, so it's still far. Like, at that point when I was so crushed, I was like, we will never take her home. It's gonna keep happening, keep continuing, because the baby was ready. The baby was ready to come home like 2 weeks ago. Like I said, she would have come home. And at 36 weeks, and now we were actually at 36 weeks now, so she would have come home now at 36 weeks, but she was ready, and we were going towards that direction, you know, 2 weeks ago, to kind of bring her home at this day on the 20th, when I'm gonna continue when all this happened. But anyway, I mean, obviously she's home. And we did bring her home, and she hasn't had any issues since she got home, but the hospital managed to mess her up twice, which is extremely annoying. But just say bye-bye, Baba, say bye-bye, because we're gonna finish this. Oh, good job! Bye-bye, everyone, because we're gonna finish this video, yes! And we will be back in the next one. Thank you, and bye! Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Can Mama? What a bye-bye. 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 Yeah, she just said bye-bye for the first time. Yeah, bye-bye. Good job. Good. Bye, everyone. You don't want to finish this video, do you? Good job.